Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description as well. Check it out.
This video brought to you by our friends at wineaccess.com/hammer. You get 20% off.
Yep, 20% off. Wineaccess.com/ham. Use it today, people.
Mini mailbag is what this is. A little mini mailbag. And let's begin here with NC State. It says, please rank the top 10 Super Bowls based on entertainment value. It's not a deep dive. It's just one Google search. You started to get defensive before we even said we wouldn't do the top 10. It's not a deep dive. It's a Google search. Do the last 10 if that's too much. I appreciate that. NC State, thank you for the for the 5-star review. Rank the last 10 Super Bowls based on entertainment value.
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to do the 10. I mean, let's just do think in the immediate future. 2 of the last 3 were terrible, right? I mean, this year's was bad. The Patriot Rams one was pretty terrible too.
Yep. I would say
those 2 were bad.
I think you got to go last 10 years, because if you do last 5, then you leave out Seattle beat New England, which to me is number 1.
Seattle beat New England?
I'm sorry, New England beating Seattle.
You'd put that over 28-3?
Yeah, because the problem with 28-3 was incredible, but it wasn't. It was 28-3 at one point. Like you said, based on entertainment value. That means I was bored for 3/4 of that game.
It's pretty remarkable, though.
It's amazing. I personally, to me, my most indelible Super Bowl memory is knowing that Marshawn Lynch was going to score a touchdown, and then they didn't give him the ball. That's the height of...
Malcolm, get in there. The NFL films of them getting Malcolm Butler in the game.
Yeah, that's right. But you could look, 28-3 is 28-3. Like,
but what is the moment in that game? I think the Malcolm Butler interception, probably like a top 2 or 3 Super Bowl moment ever, right? I mean, Guy, he picked Russell Wilson off the 1-yard line to win the game.
I would put that above. Would you put that above Eagles Patriots? Nick Foles, Philly?
Yeah, because that did happen early in the game, but that was a remarkable game. God, the Patriots played in probably 3 of the best ones of the decade, right?
Well, if we go last 10 years,
were those 3 better than Niners Chiefs?
It's a good question. I mean, Wasp. Emmanuel Sanders.
Because the Seattle Bronco game sucked. The game I went to, Broncos Panthers, kind of sucked.
Yep.
The Rams Patriots sucked. This year's sucked.
Ravens Niners was kind of like 28-3. It like sucked and the lights went out and then it was good. The
difference is that I never really felt the Niners were going to win, even though I guess they were on the 10-yard line. What was that the year after Niners Ravens? Seattle?
Yeah,
Broncos.
Seattle Broncos blowout.
So I'd say that the top 4 would be in some order. Probably Seattle 1, this Malcolm Butler pick 1, 28-3 or Eagles 2-3. Niners Chiefs was pretty good.
Just a solid throughout Super Bowl.
Yeah, but those 3 are well above Niners Chiefs. Really, what's the defining moment in Niners Chiefs? Is that pass?
Yeah, Wasp.
And just Andy win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
What would be 5?
I mean, it was a long time ago, but it fits. Yeah, it was. I watched it on TV the other day. Giants Patriots was Super Bowl 46. We just had Super Bowl 55, so this fits in the window.
That would probably jump Niners Chiefs then, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were undefeated.
No, it wasn't the undefeated team. That was 07.
Oh, you're right. Okay, that was the Super Bowl I watched the other day.
But it was the rematch. Eli had just beaten Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a pretty good game. Remember Manningham? I think, or was that the helmet catch, or that was down the sideline?
Manningham was down. Manningham. Well, it was both of that. Manningham was down the sideline.
Yeah, I think Tyree was.
Was
the Tyree game 07?
Yeah, it was the first one. But you're right.
They were both
Eli to Manningham's one of the greatest throws in the history of the sport.
Yeah, the game's up there.
I don't think Eli – is it crazy to say Eli doesn't get appreciated for two legendary Super Bowl wins?
I think in Giants territory, his respect level is really high.
Yeah, for sure.
And ultimately McAdoo got fired because he treated Eli poorly. Strictly that.
Geno Smith?
Yeah, they benched Eli, and then Eli had too much pride to come in at halftime. Remember that? Or dress. Something weird happened that week.
The Raider game?
Well, they wanted him to make the starter the next week, and he wouldn't come.
Yeah, that's what it was. They broke the streak, but then Geno was bad, and so they wanted to bring him back the next week. I think. Yeah,
and he was just let him keep starting. was a bizarre deal.
Mini mailbag next up. KC the OC. KC the OC says, as a Raider fan, I'm interested in if the Niners trade for Lance would be the worst draft day trade in history if Justin Fields kills it. Looking at the draft, I don't really feel Lance would have gone before them at 12, and they were hyped into a situation to jump. I think if the Niners had gotten Fields, kept their original value, then great draft. Jump up that high, you better be right that you got Mahomes part 2 and not Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think they could have got either guy at 12. We know they couldn't have got Fields at 12, right?
Yeah, he went 11. I think Trey Lance, no chance, makes it past, 6 or 7. Like someone's taking him.
But that's the hypothetical. The question is, if Fields turns out to be a star, is this one of the worst draft day trades ever?
It just depends how good. If Lance is Trubisky, yes, it's one of the biggest disasters in the history of the league.
If Lance is Deshaun Watson, but Fields is Mahomes,
I think you live with that pretty well. I think you're pretty good with that. If Lance is Trubisky, if you get the equivalent of what Trubisky gave the Bears, it's a bigger disaster than it was for the Bears, given what you gave up, right?
Yeah.
For as bad as it was for the Bears,
they went from 3 to 2.
Times 5. What would you say?
I mean, it's just so. Is he really going to be times 5? It's like it was. They passed on Mahomes.
See, you believe he can't suck. I do not believe that.
No. I'm not saying he can't. Trey Lance?
Like, he can't just look terrible.
I'm not saying he can't look terrible. I'm just saying Trubisky, it wasn't just Mahomes. It was Mahomes and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So that's where it's hard for me to go. It's that times 5. It can't be Trubisky times 5.
The crazier thing with Watson is they played in the same conference, right? It'd be like if there were 2 FBS players.
Right.
And you're like, we took the dude from South Dakota State over. It's like you took Deshaun Watson. He just beat Saban. You took Trubisky, who was a 1-year starter.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. To me, Mahomes, I give kind of everyone a pass on. The Watson thing, like they evaluated Mitch Trubisky was a better NFL prospect than Deshaun Watson. That's pretty crazy.
But we don't talk about, I mean, it's kind of weird because Goff had a good year and Wentz had a great year. They're both gone. We just talk about the fact that it didn't work out for those guys. We don't talk about what you traded up to get them.
I think when you make a big trade up for a guy and it doesn't work, it's these trades usually think of the last several guys that have been traded up for. Wentz, it kind of worked out for the Eagles, so you didn't get totally crushed, right? I think the 2 guys that have really worked out were Watson and obviously Mahomes. Most of them have gone well. To me, if you miss on that.
Well, even RG3 is an example, right? Like, again, it's complicated because he was the rookie of the year. But in the end, the failure was that he's not your starting quarterback. It's also a failure that you traded a lot for him.
I do think they got a little credit is like they just have it stock that Cousins was there.
Well, the other thing was the problem with Trubisky never looked as good as RG3 looked.
No. Well, I just think the gap between here's where Trubisky did get compared forever with those other 2 guys. He is going to get compared specifically to Justin Fields just because I think physically they're similar, right? Mac, no one wanted Mac.
Yeah, and two other guys went ahead of him. That's a whole other thing. For the Niners, the guy is Fields.
Yeah.
On YouTube, East Bay Chris says Tyree was the helmet catch. Yeah, so no, I know. That was the great catch. The Manningham play, though.
Down the sideline.
That's the great throw. Really, when you think about it, to the point, though, with Tyree, which we agreed was 07, right?
Yeah, helmet.
Wasn't there another throw in the second?
I thought there were
Patriots
3
game?
throws, yeah.
There was the Tyree throw, and then there was 2 throws, I thought. Was there a touchdown throw in the second Super Bowl from Eli that was incredible?
There was a touchdown throw, the game winner to Plaxico in the first one that I remember in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, that's
in
the
left corner.
But that wasn't easy. That was Plaxico,
that
Burris, touchdown.
What's the play? What was the catch that Edelman made that's so legendary? Was that against the Falcons when they were coming back?
Edelman was against the Falcons. The ball gets deflected up in the air, and he goes down and picks it off the ground.
You know, an underrated Edelman play that I watched last 6 months was the punt that barely missed his finger or knee or foot against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That would have just been a disaster. Then, like 2 plays later, I think they score. It was just should have touched them. It didn't touch them. That play was crazy. Edelman's been a part of some crazy shit.
I'm just going back here on the. Yeah, there's not really a. Now, there wasn't really a touchdown throw in that second. Maybe it's the first Super Bowl we're thinking of where he had a sweet touchdown throw. Eli. But you're right. There's a third throw we're not thinking of.
Yeah, I can't remember it. But Eli's made some throws.
No, it wasn't. There wasn't a touchdown throw. So there's just some other throw. Maybe it was over the middle. Maybe it was the Tyree catch we were thinking of. I don't know. I feel like there was something else. Someone will come up with that. Did we finish answering that question? Yeah. No, it can be an absolute disaster, and that's what KC the OC is rooting for. As a Raider fan, I'm very interested in the failures of Justin Fields. I appreciate that. And Trey Lance. All right, this is from PJ1531. Curious your thoughts on the looming quarterback competition and the eventual takeover by Trey. What do you think the vibe is from the rest of the team during offseason training camp? Some guys rooting for Jimmy to bounce back, others rooting for Trey to come out swinging and take the job sooner rather than later. These guys should be smart enough to see that Jimmy's ceiling is capped and that Trey's ceiling seems like it has the capability to shoot through the roof. Also, I'm digging this YouTube grind. Only problem is it's tough to lock in on the live shows uninterrupted. I got no patience to wait until after work to listen to it and need it ASAP. Problem is I'm a CHP officer in the South Bay, so I got to pause for every ticket I write, so I'm always a little behind on the live recordings. Keep killing it. So if you get pulled over by PJ1531 and he's like, about to give you a ticket, you got to give him the secret code, which is promo code HAM, and then you get out of the ticket. So anyone that gets pulled over in the South Bay, say promo code HAM, and maybe we could unmask this Ham fan down driving CHP.
That'd be incredible.
What was the question?
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention, to be completely honest.
Do you think the guys on the Niners are rooting for Trey or gotcha based on his ceiling?
My guess would be any person in that line of work, especially a veteran player, they've seen most players will be pretty candid on this situation. Like, you kind of got to prove it on the field before I just anoint you as a guy. Right. I think you could early on with Bosa. Remember some of the quotes like Joe Staley's like, "God damn, I think we got something." I remember Joe Staley in camp was very, very just outspoken about going against him. He thought that he was pretty talented. But then once the game started, it's like, okay, this guy's really something. To me, to really validate yourself with a coach or a veteran player, you have to do it in a game. Because if you've been around, I would say anything longer than like 5 years, you've seen guys come out of nowhere, and you've seen a lot of hyped guys shit the bed.
Yeah.
Right? So you become like Trent Williams, for example. He's kind of seen it all in Washington. Or Joe Staley at the time when he was still here had seen it all. Good and the bad. He's seen the Bowmans and he's seen the A.J. Jenkins. So you're just like, and like Matt Braid has come out of nowhere and other Joe Williams not make the team. I think you're somewhat numb to it, though this is what's on the line when this kid's walking out. But you just like, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You're not going to say that until you see it as a player.
I do think there is some element, though, of you don't really have to root for anything in particular. It takes care of itself, right?
Well, you might. What if you're friends with Jimmy? Like your buddy.
Well, obviously, if you're friends with him, you want him to succeed. But I think sports is filled with people that you like and people that you don't like. And once you start the competition, it doesn't really matter which one you like and which one you don't like. It's about who's going to help us win.
When I think if you're a guy on an NFL roster in any situation, and you went to, it would still ring true at North Dakota State, but if you went to a Power 5 school or just Division I school, Nevada, Fresno State, right, UCF, every single year, 85 scholarships in Division I football. So that's non-Power 5 and Power 5. You're bringing in 20 to 25 guys a year, right? More people than even going to come in on a draft class, and several, if you're not the quarterback, are going to play your position. So if you're, at Iowa or at USC or at Texas Tech or wherever, you've seen by the time you're a junior or senior, because you have to go to college, you've seen class after class come in with several guys trying to take your job. And you eventually become kind of friends with certain guys, not friends with others. Like just you're somewhat numb to that scenario, right, in football, just the nature of how you have to come up to eventually. Like if you're James Wiseman, they never brought anyone on the team that James Wiseman had to go, this guy's going to start over me his entire life. Where even if you're George Kittle at Iowa, like they brought in Fant and they brought in Hawkinson, right, by his second or third year. And he's just like, God damn, it just never stops.
And now with the portal, not that guys couldn't transfer before, but now it's not just freshmen who at least you have a head start on. Now it's guys that are.
When I was like Justin Fields and Trey Sermon just show up.
Exactly.
You're like, what the hell? You got Justin Fields here? Trey, if you're a running back at Ohio State, you're like, I'm gonna be a starter. They're like, hey James, it looks like we just got this transfer. His name's Trey Sermon from Oklahoma. You're like, what? And that's then all of a sudden you're like, is that an indictment on me? And they don't think I'm good enough, or is it just a nature of the beast?
That's when you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, or you just beat the guy out.
Well, that's what's different about quarterback is there's no.
It is a naturally very competitive sport.
You don't get to share but it's the most competitive position because you don't get to share carries.
At quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are kind of held up to be the leader of the team. Like there's more to it than just being the best player.
Trey Sermon and Mozart can just immediately become friends and good buddies. Like we can do this together. Like it's really hard for Trey Sermon and Jimmy to be like, we can build this, right?
Yeah, for Jimmy to say that to Trey, like Trey, you and me, baby.
Yeah.
Between us, I don't want to say anything to anybody else, but
we'll go back to last year. It was way different scenario, but what happened in Philadelphia? Shit got weird between the two of them. Because it's like, well, is this guy the starting quarterback? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, yeah.
They're not apples to apples situations at all, but you have time and time again guys like, this guy became my rook, and we just became buddies, and we played together for 3 years, then I eventually got cut, and he became a star. But most times you don't get like Alex Mahomes. It's usually like, yeah, it was a little weird.
It's a lot easier for you to develop that when there's no threat of the guy taking your job, right?
Yeah, even like Tua Fitz is on like pretty easy scenario for both. Like, what was Fitz? Even Fitz kind of wore it. Like, this sucks, but
Fitz
I get it.
had never been like the future of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, there were some mailbag questions, John. We can hit a few more YouTubes to tech on real quick. Let's fire through. From Sam, is it possible if Tyrod didn't meet Dr. Needle and played all year, we would have heard nothing about Herbert? No, Herbert was going to play pretty soon. What do you think?
Pretty soon?
I felt like it, but maybe he wasn't. Maybe Anthony Lynn wasn't going to do it. It was pretty clear watching that Cincinnati game that Herbert should be on the clock. But
yeah, I mean, if they started, they didn't even win that much when Herbert got there, but it was clear he was good. If somehow with Tyrod they were 3-3 or something, like Herbert, it would have taken him maybe midway through the season. Now if Tyrod had started 1-5, 1-6 for sure, but
can you imagine if they'd waited till they were 1-6, like at 1-4? Maybe you're right.
The decision was made for them, not by their own doing. Like they didn't let's do this idea. It was forced on them. It's like, what's wrong, Tyrod? I don't know. I just took a needle to the lung. Remember he was out for a little while too. It was like, he's going to be out for a little while. It was like a serious injury.
On YouTube, did you guys see that from 6 Letters? Did you guys see the photo on the Niners website with Lance under center and a little split out? Oh, and Kittle split out. He might be getting first team reps already. Actually, for those of you on YouTube, somebody, Dylan, DM'd me this photo the other day and was like, "What do you think?" So, yeah.
People love diving into photos the team takes and like.
Did you see the photo?
I did not.
Here, I wasn't. Let me share the screen with you real quick while you make this point.
I just think this is an NFL type thing.
See it?
Yeah. This is not like the Niners are not an outlier in this situation. I do think that the hardcore fans, when you just have situations like this, dive into team pictures and take them and read a lot into them. Like, what is going on? It could be as simple as like Jimmy's back there talking about something else. And they're like, Trey, get it, just very
his shoelace broke.
Yeah, or they're just rotating. Like George ran in with the 3. Who knows? But it's like, is Trey already with the ones? Trey and George, they building the chemistry. George is sneaky, kind of open-minded. I think you watch him; he's gonna pivot faster than you'd think.
Whoever
he went from being Jimmy's homie to like he will be all in on Trey quick. Now, in fairness, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah, what is he supposed to do? Jamie said, "Y'all see McGlinchey gained weight." So this was another photo, I think, from Niners.com.
Oh, McGlinchey's looking like me and you.
I don't know why I can't size this thing a little better here, but I don't. Have we got an official weigh-in on this to confirm?
He looks bigger for sure.
He does. I did expect this to happen. did he lose? Did Kyle make him lose weight to begin with? Did Kyle want him to be? Did they go into last offseason? Kyle was like, "Hey man, I want you to cut it down a little," and it hurt him. So,
is there a better feeling for a guy that's huge, and when you're huge, you're just naturally going to like to eat? When they're like, "We're going to need you to put on 10 pounds," you're like, "Okay, coach, I got you, dog." Honey, I'll take it to work.
I'll get to work right now.
Probably pretty expensive if you live in the Bay Area with the obscene DoorDash prices. Like they have us like 7 extra charges.
Just get a chef.
If you just need to order a meal, like you're getting 3 burgers, right?
You get
and
chef.
fries.
Yeah. Enrique says, "Can we get some Raider debates?" Yeah. What debate should we be having?
Gruden, Mayock, Carr,
Hot
go!
seat. I think if Gruden has like 4 or 5 more years, John, that don't measure up, he could be on the hot seat. But yeah, I mean, when there's topics, let us know what you want us to debate.
I saw Derek playing pool basketball a couple weeks ago with Hunter Renfro and David.
In Vegas?
It looked like his backyard's pretty sweet.
Remember the video of the Cars throwing footballs like over the house? Wasn't David throwing a football over the house a couple years ago?
Yeah, they're like a mansion in Bakersfield.
Dominic says, "Hey there, fellas. Jets need a backup for for Zach Wilson still. Who would you run after if you're Joe Douglas? A play for Jimmy G, Minshew, Foles, just for mentor purposes?" Well, Foles is going to be available at some point soon. So that's
post June 1 cut.
Foles is, the other thing. Foles, religious guy. I don't know if sorry, I don't want to make the assumptions on. I don't.
Is he Mormon?
No, he's not Mormon. Just I said religious.
No. I didn't mean Foles. I meant Zach.
Oh, good question.
Did you see the thing going viral? They have.
I shouldn't assume, but you wouldn't be like, we got this Jewish guy. Let's get him over here with the Mormon. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, they had a mullet offensive lineman. The whole crew, it looked like, went to the Islander game either Friday or Saturday. All the Jets, and one of their linemen, went back to Yari on a beer, and Zach was right next to him. Now, Zach I didn't see in the video was drinking. I just guessed, I wonder if he's not a Mormon, but I don't know. The dude slammed a beer fast.
But I would say on a basic level, I think Foles would be a good mentor. That's not a terrible thought.
Yeah, you need to get
Minshew, I would say no. Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't know how that one would come together exactly.
Yeah, I don't think that's coming together.
Who else?
To me, you would like a Fitzpatrick, a Foles. You would like a guy, an older guy, a high level guy. You need someone around. That would be a very, very tough position to play if you didn't have like a 34-year-old to just talk to about life. Like, bro, what's going on? There's a lot happening. It has to be very comforting to just have Ryan Fitzpatrick in your room, even a Joe Flacco. Now, his personality has to be right. Like, he can't just be like, he's just there for the paycheck, not being nice to you. That feeling of just being someone you can ask questions to, like a McCown, a Fitzpatrick, and he's nice to you, and he can just be like, hey, man,
who you can trust not to.
You want to come over? My wife will make you dinner tonight. Yes, thank God. I don't know where to eat. You're swimming. You're like, he keeps yelling at me. Does he hate me?
Is Jacoby Brissett on the Colts still?
That's a great. I think he signed somewhere.
Dolphins.
Jacoby is?
Yeah, that's what his wiki says.
Are we sure that Jacoby Brissett won't beat out Tua?
Okay, I signed 1 year, $5 million with Miami.
That's a pretty good signing
for Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't the Jets have been all over that? I would have given him like 7. He's a high level guy. That to me is a no brainer. I actually think he's not. Is he making enough money? Yeah, he's probably right at the price point. But
well, you know what, John? So this other article says 7.5. So I don't know which it is.
I like that. I must have missed that one.
Jim
Smart move
says
by the Dolphins.
Over under 0.5 snaps for D Ford this year.
I would probably go under. He's come back. He gets hurt he makes it to a preseason game and he gets hurt in a preseason game and he never plays again.
Oh, we're not counting preseason games? Okay.
Yeah. Let's count real games. I bet he never makes it. That'd be my guess.
Sam says Raiders question is Mariota stuck in Vegas. No options for him. I mean, yeah, it looks like he is. I thought it looked like for a second they were gonna cut him and then he came back and there aren't aren't a lot of great spots. I mean, it's just hard for a quarterback. It's everyone needs one, but there aren't really that many spots, particularly if you're kind of an in-between guy. New Orleans would have been interesting, I think. Him and Jameis together.
They were kind of stuck though because they got Taysom
Yeah.
and they have Jameis.